So that's what brings me here today, to tell you where we are in the process and to tell you what's going to happen next and to ask you to give, to help. Because without you, this isn't going to happen. You know, we started this several years ago in Siskiyou County, about 4 or 5 of us standing around in a circle, and we were just mad, to tell you the truth. We were mad about Second Amendment stuff. We were mad about the 10 gun bills that were in the hopper 3 years ago. And there are 10 or 11 of them every single year since then. And we just wanted some liberty. We wanted a measure of liberty. We wanted a measure of self-determination. We wanted to be able to say, when the state lies about the spotted owl, in order to destroy an industry and devastate the majority of the timber communities in Northern California, when they lie about that, and they did lie, and I can prove that too, and I'll just give you the short version, logging is killing the spotted owl. Well, now we've thought better of it. And it's the barred owl that's killing the spotted owl. In fact, we have a big grant going right now over in Humboldt County, a grant, so that people can go out and shoot barred owls to see if that will save the spotted owl. But yet, you still cannot log, because if you hear a spotted owl, a 500-acre radius around that hoot, and by the way, the owl doesn't have to live there. You don't have to see his nest. All you have to do is hear the owl. And while you're trudging through the forest, and they call them hooters, my friend of mine does that, he's a biologist, and he hoots for owls so he can count them. He hears a spotted owl, and he's trudging through the forest on his horse, and he marks the GPS location. That 500 acres is sequestered from logging. Well, you just scared the owl. So the owl flies down the road, a mile or so, and he's going down that same road, and he hoots for owls, and he hears another hoot. And he's going through the forest on his horse. He probably scared the owl. And the owl flies down the road another half mile, and he's hooting, and he hears a hoot. Well, that 500 acres is off limits. You might be literally chasing the same owl all day long, and you don't know that. And the state admits that the logging doesn't hurt the spotted owl. In fact, there's a recent study out by U.S. Forest Service that says the spotted owl does far better in second growth managed timberland than it does in old growth. Because in old growth, there isn't as much game on the forest floor. There's no underbrush. So the one thing the owl eats isn't there. And in a forest that's too crowded, the owl has a 6-foot wingspan. He cannot spread his wings and fly to the forest floor when there's too many trees there. So guess what he does? He leaves. And then they say, even though the owl just left, they say, well, he must be dead. If he isn't here, he must be dead. Not if he isn't here, he must not be here. But the inference, and this is a scientific inference, by the way, if I don't hear one, they must all be dead. Those are the liars that run the state of California. Have you had enough? I mean, an amen once in a while is okay with me. Have you had enough? You know, I've had enough. And like I said, I'm a cop, and I've had enough. I've had more than enough. You know, I see crime in my county is going through the ceiling. And we have no police protection whatsoever between midnight and 7 a.m. because my sheriff can't afford people. And my county is 6,500 square miles. And we oftentimes have entire shifts that have 2 deputies on. There are places in my county that if you are in trouble, your response time is never. There are places in my county where if I get in trouble, my backup is never. I carry 250 rounds of ammunition and 5 guns all the time because I may never get help if I get stuck in that pot garden and I happen to be in Salmon River, because it takes 4 hours for the next nearest deputy to drive there. I'll either be out of bullets or the bad guy will be dead, one or the other. That's how these communities are. I notice a lot of boarded up buildings in this community, and I remember this community when I was a young man. It was vibrant and growing, and every store was open, and there were ice cream stores and kids walking up and down the street here. The town of Montague was the same way. We had 5 gas stations and 3 grocery stores and 2 ice cream parlors, and we had like 14 mills or something in the county, and people raised their children, and their children grew up there and had children, and their children grew up there. And now it is a crackhead wasteland. In the entire town of Montague, I don't think there are 3 businesses left open, and it's not because the economy changed. That's the lie the state tells. The timber industry in my county did not die because people stopped using wood. In fact, since the timber industry died, the population of California has almost doubled. They got to have a place to live, right? They're not just doubling up in all the houses that are already here. The timber industry died because the mills could not count on an assured supply of logs. If you're going to operate a mill, you need to know you've got 10 years worth of logs to keep that mill running. And when you can't buy any wood except from British Columbia, the timber mill left in Trinity County, there's one mill left out of 19, and that poor so-and-so has to import all the logs, and Trinity County, by the way, is 97% forest. They have to import all their logs from British Columbia, Canada. Trains come from Canada with logs to supply a forest community with what they need to provide jobs.